Howdy, my name is Jennifer Blaase, and this is my persuasive speech. I'm going to pan the audience. Okay, so how many of you have ever been driving around listening to your radio station when you hear the emergency alert come on? That annoying little sound that just kind of makes you stop for a second and think. And then you hear the recorded voice come on and say something about how there's an Amber Alert for a child that's missing. Or how many of you have been sitting on your couch at home watching TV, you hear that same sound come on, and all of a sudden something flashes on the screen on the bottom saying that a little girl or a little boy has been abducted. Or have been driving down the road looking at the roadway signs and you see the same description. I know I have. Every time I see one of those, I just kind of pause for a second and say a prayer for those kids that are just missing or abducted, and just kind of sends a little bit of a chill down my spine. But it also makes me think about how thankful I am that a program like Amber Alert exists and to save the children that are in trouble. Many of you in the audience today have kids that are young or have been in bad situations before. Maybe not like that. But when you think about your kids, you really think about how much you want a program like that to exist just in case something, God forbid, ever happens. So today, I want to discuss with you why I think that the Amber Alert system should be mandatory nationwide. First off, I'm going to talk about some statistics and just about how prevalent missing children and abduction cases are in the United States today. Then I'm also going to talk a little bit about the history of the Amber Alert system, how well established it is, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the success stories and the happy results of the Amber Alert system, just to try to persuade you that really this is a program that needs to be continued. So first off, I want to start out talking about a few statistics. Parents Magazine states that every 40 seconds a child is reported abducted or missing in the United States. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reported last year that in 2010, that 531,928 children were reported missing or abducted. When you think about these statistics, it makes you realize that this is something that we really need to battle. We really need to think about, discuss, and have something in place to help these kids. I know we watch on TV a lot, and we think about the danger that these children are in when they're missing. The statistics say, from the Child Safety Research and Innovation Center, say that 44% of children that are abducted in the first hour are killed, 74% by the third hour, and only 1% survive to the second day. So when you think about those statistics, it really shows you how important it is for us to have an emergency system that is both quick, efficient, and effective. That's why I really think that the Amber Alert system is such a great thing. It's very effective, it's very quick, and it's very widespread as well. It involves multiple members of the community, and it helps to protect these kids and helps to bring them home. Nationwide, we really need this. This needs to be something that's in every state, and this needs to be something that's not just for now, that's permanent. So, moving on, now that I've talked about some statistics, I'd like to move into discussing the history of the Amber Alert system. It was actually created in 1996 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area when 9-year-old Amber Hagerman was killed. She was abducted and 2 weeks later found. The local authorities and the local radio stations got together to try to locate her. They put out broadcasts community-wide, and the community really got involved. When the Department of Justice caught wind of this, it became popular in states around the country. In 2005, Hawaii became the 50th state to create the Amber Alert an Amber Alert program in their state. It's awesome to think about how every state right now has a program like this. So if a child goes missing, it becomes a statewide alert. States also work together to find these kids, and if there is a chance of them moving across borders, they cooperate to see what they can do. They do have some guidelines for the Amber Alert system to ensure that it doesn't get abused or overused. Some of these guidelines include that the abduction first has to be confirmed by the local authorities. They don't want every just a crying parent that comes to evoke this wide effort if it's not necessary. The child also has to be in great risk of bodily harm or injury before an Amber Alert will be established. They also have to have a proper description of the child because they don't want to send out alerts without being able to correctly identify the child and send people on a wild goose chase. States differ in their age limitations for the Amber Alert system. Some do ages 17 and under, others do anywhere from 10 to 13 to 15. That's also something that needs to be just straight across the board because there is some confusion during state cooperation because of that. When you think about how well established and just how well founded this Amber Alert system is, this really shows why it should be a permanent system. It should be mandatory nationwide. The 50 states right now, each and every one of them has them. But with a financial recession going, they're cutting government programs. And this needs to be something that's not cut. This needs to be something that is permanent, that is mandatory, and that is something that just is always in place. So now I want to talk a little bit about the success stories that have come from the Amber Alert system. Something more happy. Now that we've discussed the little sad side of it and the history of it. So in the first 10 years of the Amber Alert program, 333 kids were saved. People magazine reported that by 2006, 333 kids. That's awesome. That's countless children that get lives to live out now that they were saved by the Amber Alert system. Present day statistics say that 602 kids have been saved total now. These numbers just keep increasing and it's just amazing. In October of 2012 alone, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reported 4 success stories. The first one involved a 3-year-old girl whose father left her in the car sitting right outside their house. When he walked back out, the car was driving away. Somebody was stealing the car. About a couple hours later, an undercover police officer who had heard the Amber Alert recovered the car with the daughter inside. The daughter was returned to her father. That happened in Ohio. On October 16th, a 2-year-old girl in a similar situation, whose mother had left her outside in the car in a parking lot, was taken. The car was taken. The car was abandoned later on. A citizen recognized it because of the Amber Alert that had been placed and the license plate number for the car. The daughter was safely returned to her mother, and they're happy with it today. That happened in Georgia. On October 24th, in Missouri, a 5-year-old girl was taken from her front yard by a registered sex offender. An Amber Alert was issued, and the registered sex offender felt so guilty that he turned himself in, knowing that he'd be caught, and the daughter was returned. That happened in Missouri. In Puerto Rico, a 6-year-old boy and his father were approached by 4 men in ski masks. The men abducted the boy and later dropped him off at a shopping mall after seeing the Amber Alert. He was safely returned to his father, is living happily now. When you see all these success stories, you see the need for this program. You see why it should be mandated nationwide. This is succeeding even in Puerto Rico. This is really something that we need to mandate. So in conclusion, I just want to remind you that really these statistics are not something that we can ignore. These statistics are something that is prevalent in our society and something we need to address. I also remind you that the Amber Alert system is well established. It addresses these statistics. It's had success stories. This is something that needs to be across the nation. This needs to be something that we do not give up just because of our financial recession. This needs to be something that we continue to expand and just continue to encourage. And to leave you with, I just want you to think next time that you hear an Amber Alert, just think about what those parents are probably going through, and just think about what this Amber Alert system is doing for these kids. It might be saving a life, and it's encouraging the community to get involved in helping these kids. Just think about it next time. Thank you.